In the first year on the Gliwo with our Outremer 55, we sailed from the south of France to Tahiti in French Polynesia. This is the summary of the second year of the Gliwo, where we sail from Tahiti to Australia, Thursday Island. When Mark went back to the boat after 3 weeks, the boat was launched. It had new antifouling. Almost the whole list of items were solved, so we were very happy.
Jimbo and Arnaud are going to help me.
Yeah, we're going to get it back in the water.
Yeah.
We love French Polynesia. The diversity in one country. You can go to Marquesas, Tuamotus, Society Islands. We actually love the atmosphere there. It's a pity that it's on the other side of the world. The Society Islands in general are very nice. Apart from the mountain that you have in the middle of the atoll, there's the atoll around it. As soon as you're through the pass, then you're anchored in a reasonably quiet area and you can enjoy the beauty of the mountain in the middle. The Tuamotus only have the atoll and the Marquesas only have the mountain. Society Islands is a combination of the two of them.
We're on our way. As the wind is going to be less than we thought before, we went up earlier, around 4, and just followed our track in the dark outside.
After a day of rest and doing nothing, we took the chance to bring the bikes out and bike over the island. I must say it's a beautiful island.
It's just a small crossing today from Waine to Taha, where we will have a 3-day event with the Gliwo group. That's Bora Bora. We've been there 23 years ago.
And then we move around Taha to the next stop, and that will be Raiatea mainland, where we will have a tour over the island and a dinner. And as a bonus, we all get Corona. There is a big swell coming from the south. The swell is 4 meters. Yeah, for us it's not a big deal when you are with your boat on the ocean. But when 4 meters waves hit the reefs, they grow to 8 meters and it's spectacular. Having Corona in an area like that is not such a big problem. You just lock yourself on the boat for several days. We are completely independent of everything. Everything is on board. We make our own water. And then when it's over, you can come back into the world.
Well, we did start this morning, but immediately the wind went up to 30 knots. It's come down a little bit now.
We decided to stay an extra day on Taha, just to gain some more strength. And we saw 2 lagoons going out of the pass, and it was spectacular. In the South Pacific Ocean, there were very deep depressions, and the waves are traveling a long way to the area where we were sailing. The advantage was that the pass was really quiet and it was absolutely not a problem to go through it. Even with very little wind, other boats were motoring. We could sail the whole trip to Bora Bora, I think with a speed of about 7 knots. When we were here 25 years ago, I don't think we would ever expect to be here on our own keel. From Bora Bora to Maupiti, we actually had sort of almost headwind. It was close reaching, and there was not a lot of wind. So then this Outremer sails beautifully. When the wind was not very strong, we kept a wind angle of about 60 to keep some speed. And later on, the wind increased a bit to 15, 16 knots, and then we pointed up to 53, 50 degrees. The pass into Maupiti was extremely quiet because the wind was from a northwesterly direction. Maupiti is a beautiful island. We love the atmosphere there. I think Maupiti and Huaine are my two favorite islands on the Society Islands. At the moment the swell is 3 to 4 meters, so we are sort of stuck in Maupiti. We can't go out. The pass in Maupiti is on the southerly side of the atoll, and with the southeasterlies it's always difficult to find the right moment to go in and out. We finally escaped the pass of Maupiti and sailed 1,200 miles to Samoa. There was a decent amount of wind, and because I didn't feel very well, we kept the boat a little bit slower than normally. We reefed a little bit more so that we didn't have to change sails and we could just continue. I did my watches from lying on the couch in the saloon so that Mark could have some sleep, and we managed just the two of us. In the beginning it is easy to stay together. It is very difficult to try and do that for the whole trip. You constantly have to adapt to the circumstances that you're in. But if you have too little sail for the wind and the choppy seas, then it's very uncomfortable on the boat. The weather was pretty rough. It was difficult to go to Cook Islands with a checking in and checking out procedure, and Tonga was still closed because of Corona. Samoa just opened up, so we decided before we would go to Fiji to make a stop in Samoa.
Two reefs in the main now and the Solent. We just did that, or mainly did that, to reduce our speed a bit so we could stick together. Well, these guys kept us awake as the wind was turning, first to 130 and then back to 90.
We are actually the second boat that goes into Samoa in 3 years' time. When the customs comes on board and the health and the whole charade, it is really funny. We are going to rest in Samoa for a while and do some sightseeing on land. We visited the other island and we went into a resort to celebrate my birthday.
A few little Spearos there for anyone wants one of those. Savannah scatters and the seabird sings. Why should we fear what travel brings?
The sea gets a bit confused here.
Hoping to get out of
Suddenly we had a squall with 36 knots of wind. It came in so violent that the autopilot just couldn't manage for a moment. We hardly ever have that, but this time we have it. And then it's good that we always have the wheel a little bit inside the tent, so that within a second we are at the wheel and we can steer. So you think you're always very lucky with the weather, but it's actually, there's a good forecast and a fast boat, and that combination makes it very comfortable.
It's our dearest ally.
108 miles to go.
It's our darkest blackout.
There was a lot of current coming out of the pass in Wallace because of the strong winds of the last couple of days. Even though it was slack tide, we had about 4 knots of current against us. Checking in Wallace was pretty easy. It is so funny, one country or the other, the differences are so big. Also in terms of corona measures, the way they treat you when you arrive, checking in, checking out procedure, it's completely different in every country. Wallace is a very special place. It's a place where maybe 10 tourists per year arrive. When we went around the island with the car, the driver asked us, what do you want to see? And then we said, we don't know, it's your island, you have to tell us what is worth seeing. And then he said, do you like to see churches? Oh, okay, 1 or 2 is fine. But in the end, there was not a lot more to see than churches. We went from one church to the other, they were beautiful. And a volcano in the middle, that was very pretty.
It's a constant game.
And then we are off to Fiji, 360 miles, and we are going to do it in 1.5 days. This trip was actually a very comfortable trip with nice winds. I always feel a little bit ill when I don't have a good sleep during the night. So I'm really looking forward that Elise is going to join us from Fiji to New Zealand at the end of October, beginning of November. It is always more exciting to arrive somewhere in the night. Luckily we knew that the maps were accurate, but still you don't see anything when you arrive. And it's very difficult to orientate yourself on the lights. There are so many lights from a village in the background. So I was pretty close to a reef with 2 red poles on it that were not lit, of course. But luckily we went very slow and we saw them in time. And the next morning, when you wake up and open the window, you can see in what new paradise you arrived. Victor is already there. with a bag full of spare parts for us, so we are very happy. From Savu Savu, we actually go back a little bit against the wind to make a round tour in the direction of the Lau group. The Bay of Islands is unbelievably beautiful and we very much enjoy being there.
We're on our way.
We start early in the morning because we want to arrive in the light. Our friends already started in the dark. Mark is on the VHF and telling them, guys, don't go so early because the maps are not completely correct here and you want to look outside and see what you're doing. And so we went a little bit later in the light and still we hit a reef. It happened right here. That's where we hit a reef. It was not on the map. When we came closer to this reef, I anchored the boat, so we are stable now.
Pool broken there. Seems to work.
So the rudder wasn't even so badly damaged because I think the reef was 140 deep or so. So we just hit it 1 or 2 times on the waves. We stabilized the rudder, we disconnected the 2 rudders, and then at least we could motor back to the anchorage area where we could see what to do. All our friends came back and everybody started to help us. That's really an amazing thing of the rally. We would have loved to join the others to the south of the Lau group because Fulanga is supposed to be a very beautiful island. But we are very happy that we didn't do it because it was like 100 miles over open sea and then back again, and it just didn't feel good with a leaking boat and 1 rudder. But it was very nice to be back in Savu Savu again. Saga was there, Chaps was there, Jimbo was there, so we had a nice time. So we rested in Savu Savu and then started our trip to the Yasaba group. And the good thing about the Yasaba group is that it was a lot of beautiful islands. The distances were short and we were always not too far away from Fudu Marina, where we could be hauled out, but we had to wait for the spare parts.
Cold, cold. Yeah, that's my love. She hides away like a ghost. Does she know that we think the same?
Together with Wasa and Morea, we had a very good time. The curry on the beach was one of the evenings in your life that you will never ever forget.
Go out here, around that, and then from the outside to the Blue Lagoon. Well, we're not going fast, but it's out there in the air.
In this area, not having a water maker is very difficult. There are no marinas where you can just moor and fill yourself up. So if Wasa has to bring water to the boat, he has to do it all with jerry cans from somewhere, I don't know where. For us it's so easy. We run the water maker and we just fill him up with a deck wash pump.
Always my love.
Wilson! We're on our way to the island where Castaway is recorded. Tom Hanks.
Also the Mamanucas were very nice islands.
Eerst kijken dat we dingen gaan herkennen als we daar lopen. Hij stond op Netflix.
Did she run away? Did she run away?
With 3 waypoints, and then around Mana and here to a very narrow channel.
And then we meet Living Daylights again. This is actually a boat that we already met in Sicily. It is so nice that you meet old friends everywhere over the world.
And we know now how to follow the poles.
So now we are in Muscat Cove and here we are going to wait until it's time to go to Vunda to be hauled out. There are a lot of Clivo boats already, so we have some parties. To be honest, it feels so good to be hauled out of the water. You don't know if the repairs were strong enough to hold for a month. It sometimes gives a feeling of nervousness. We are very happy that we are hauled out now and that the problem will be solved.
It's kind of an angry cloud passing by.
If you're scared, I'm on my way.
Greatcircle was hauled out in Fuda Marina and we had some scary moments. They were going to replace it, but at the moment they were using the old car and they were supporting the boat with all kinds of wooden thingies and it looked really, really scary. But the people were very skilled and very helpful, so everything went well. Ah, there it is. Oh, daar ja. Oh, Rafael zit erin. Okay. Outremer sent a new rudder and some new parts for the inside. The Gliwo organized that Nick was going to do the polyester work. So Mark actually did a great job helping Nick to install the final parts of the rudder. It actually worked fine.
Well done.
Last sunset in Fiji.
It's so funny. We have so much in common. She could actually be my daughter. Doing the crossing to New Zealand was actually great with 3 persons. I actually had more than enough of sleep and we didn't even arrive very tired. Because Elisa was still in her jet lag, she had no problems to sit during the night. We actually stayed in a sort of a normal rhythm. So funny, at the moment we are exactly on top of Sea Tramp. We sailed with Mario and Nina for 2 seasons in Greece. before they started their ocean crossing in 2018. We had different circumstances. We had bumping against the waves in the beginning, and then we had a couple of days of a very good wind, and in the end we needed the engines. The only really scary part were the thunderstorms in the end, because you don't want to have a lightning strike, because then all your electronics are broken.
We're reaching the territorial border of New Zealand. Filled in all the forms.
If you would have asked us in 2013, what are the chances that you will arrive here with your own boat? That would be around 0.
Francois, is there someone on board?
We cleared in New Zealand and explored the Bay of Islands. It was so good to see Glennis again after 9 years. There are 2 boats from the rally, Jordan.
Okay, let's go.
We're all scared of trenches and growing knees. I want you to know that.
After exploring the Bay of Islands, we sailed the boat south to Whangarei, up the river, where we are going to leave the boat for the winter.
Haunted was a dream. Then you know that I can't help you. 16.
Fall to.
A little bit further than halfway, we find a beautiful spot, a nice inlet, and Pom 3, Chaps and Food Bassin are already there, and we have a nice dinner together.
'Cause you know you left the house where your body cut and alcohol.
You copy Zealander, with control.
Good morning, Catamaran Greatcircle, also Gliwo. We are half a mile from your marina.
Welcome. We will look out for you when you come down the river. Over.
Breach, I'll never call her.
So we're hanging on the poles now. All the lines are double, so we have redundancy in all the lines. So we have 4 lines in the front, 4 lines in the back, and they are all connected on a different spot on the pole, and also connected on a different spot on the boat. Like here it is connected to the bridle area, one, and the other one is connected to the cleat.
And gather all the quivers that never got to fly, and I wanna know the cipher. Did I show you
Nice and warm in the sun. The briefing is tomorrow for the crossing to New Caledonia.
Did I show you love? 'Cause the silence never seen. It's a breach I'll never cover.
Still current against us, quite a lot.
It's always challenging when you're not in the trade wind area to find the right weather window to do a crossing. And our crossing, it appeared that we would have very little wind. But actually, the timing of that was very, very good because we just reached Norfolk Island with some wind. Then there was a day with no wind at all. So we could visit Norfolk Island, which has a bay that is not very protected. So normally no boats go there.
So we're sacrificing a little bit of speed and VMG to go up higher now, as the wind will turn even further than this. Stand prepared, let's take the Kiwi flag down.
Going ashore in Norfolk Island was a bit of a challenge. The locals, they don't leave their boats in the water because of the swell, and they lift it out immediately when they come back. And we tried to do it with the anchor, but that got stuck.
Well, coming in with a dinghy, you have to go around here.
And then the next day the wind picked up again and the bay was already very rough. So we left at 5 o'clock in the morning and continued to New Caledonia. When we arrived in New Caledonia, we caught up with the boats that left New Zealand at the same time as us, or maybe even a day earlier. They were floating on the ocean for 1.5 days while we were nicely on anchor in Norfolk Island. When we arrived at the pass, we were very close to Nino and we could film him with a drone when he went inside the pass. We feel for the guys who are still on the water, like Nop Nop, Fitia and Saga and Chamagui that is coming from the other side. We are so happy to be in the harbor. Saga was a lot less lucky than we were. And also Fitia, they had very bad weather and enormous thunderstorms. In New Caledonia, some repairs on our boat were done and we went to go out for sailing with Nino for a couple of days.
Ja, daar komt hij. Mooi.
We had the sharks swimming around the boat at Amadei Island. The water was very clear. The weather is still not stable. One day we have a lot of wind and rain and storms, and the other day it is absolutely beautiful and no wind at all. We meet Clivo boats everywhere when we are sailing through the reefs. The waves are still pretty impressive because of the strong winds that were there the last couple of days. And this is actually inside the lagoon. Imagine how it was outside.
All the way in there.
This is actually a hurricane hole where we are now, and they forecasted some bad weather for the night. Our anchor didn't hold, even with 35 knots of wind, so it was not that bad. We had to re-anchor in the dark, in the rain. From the hurricane hole we go via one stop on the main island to Mare Island. We can moor on the north side. The normal anchorage is a little bit unprotected with this wind direction, and Victor promised to bring the passports to us at the Avocado Festival. In the meantime, we have the media team on board, and that results in a very beautiful film from them. With a nice wind in the back, we do sometimes butterfly and sometimes an angle of 150. It was not easy to go ashore there. We had to leave the dinghies on a very steep slipway, but going to the Avocado Festival was very special.
So the rest started already to Vanuatu.
The crossing to Vanuatu is a little bit upwind, and after banging on the waves for about 20 hours, I know why I don't like going upwind.
2 knots of wind remaining. So this one just stays there stationary.
On arrival, we end up very close to a thunderstorm. And Possible, who's behind us, even thinks that we are exactly hit by lightning, but luckily that was not true. But it's dry in the yacht club. It is still covered, even though it's partly destroyed by the last hurricane. Then we are off to visit the volcano. It is actually fabulous. In Europe or in America or anywhere else in the world, they would have had fences and warnings and everything, and here you could just stand on the side of the crater and look into the fire. From Tanna we go to Port Vila, which feels a little bit more like civilization.
Het is 7 meter hier.
The boats that were with me in the bay now all left, and I have to go a little bit south anyway when Victor finally arrives. His flight has been cancelled now 2 or 3 times. I would prefer to avoid the area where the current is the worst. Good timing, this squall.
As soon as Victor arrives, they're going to join the group again and enjoy the beautiful program in Vanuatu.
It's not bad, eh?
On the day that there was no wind at all forecasted, we had a beautiful sail from Port Sandwich on Malakula, Lambrim, where the Yam and the Rome Festival were about to start. Not a bad decision to stay on board on the second day of the festival. Morning. Next island will be Pentecost, where the guys jump off the tower with just a Tarzan thingy on their feet. Nice, eh? Get the sun out. there's no way we can avoid the storms in front of us. It's kind of stable, they're not moving as you would expect. So let me start by saying that we should have taken a reef from the very beginning. It's clear, no discussion.
The crossing to Santo was more exciting than we expected up front. There was much more wind than forecasted, and we learned a lesson or two about reefing and the balance of the boat.
We're falling a bit to reduce the apparent wind. Much. Just need 40. And you can clearly see on a certain point the boat just starts turning into the wind all by itself. Try to correct it manually again with the steering wheel. Not a chance that the rudder was able to compensate for those forces.
If I would have been on board, I think we would have reefed a lot earlier already. But it's a good lesson. If you look very well, the water is even coming in through the window.
Last couple of miles on the engine. After yesterday, we decided to make a slow start. We left the second reef in.
It looks like there is current against waves. It's really terrible.
We can only hope that it's going to be better around the corner.
The reef in the main, full jib out, still making 11 knots, about 25 knots of wind. The big sea, so yeah, speed uncomfortable.
Victor and Mark sailed the boat from Vanuatu to Mackay in Australia. They had challenging conditions. Sometimes there was a really strong wind and sometimes there was hardly any wind, and also the directions changed, so it kept them busy for a while. I was so worried from home to let them go over the ocean alone. I saw in the beginning that they were going in 11.5 knots on average. Then I know the sea state will be rough.
Well, it's beautiful night, a clear sky. That was very nice. The watches, boat is fine, no problem at all.
Look at this. Those wind shifts are incredible.
Let's look at our average speed just for today. It's 10.3.
Code 0, code G, code 0, code G, nice.
We let him pass, and then we might be able to reach our next waypoint as well. We were hoping that the current would set in, because that would help. Almost there, 16 miles to go.
When they are the first boat to arrive in the dark in Mackay, they find out in a scary way that they're building a new dike just at the entrance of the marina. It was not very well lit, so they were just managing to avoid it. And then I'm so happy to be back on the boat.
Bringing in to the travel lift, or her.
I flew back to Australia and we were preparing the boat for the boat show. We hauled it out, put new anti-fouling on and did some polishing.
There it goes.
We were tidying up all the boats for the boat show. The Outremer team flew in. Actually, all the Dutchies were there. Nino, Endless Joy, Greatcircle.
Gaswick Island and Bees Island.
Yes guys, it's not pretty but we got it here.
Thank you, Alex.
No worries, anytime.
Okay, there it goes. We sailed from Mackay to Whitehaven Beach in the Whitsundays and had a big adventure in the Hill Inlet.
Or not. Oh, still sailing. So we're here on the south end of Whitehaven.
We checked out the route with the dinghy before we went in with Greatcircle. We decided to stay in the Hill Inlet with low tide. But that was a bit scary because the place where we could anchor was very small. And when the tide was turning, we ended up with the rudders above the area that would be too shallow for the rudders. So we decided to put a second anchor on, but then we were sort of sideways on the current. You can see a shark in the water close to the boat. And if we think back that Mark went into the water to rescue the anchor, that was not a good idea. But everything went well.
Solent up as well. Oi! Zo lang gaan. Zo lang hou je daar niet vol. It would bring us an early beach in an hour. So we went today already, even though the beach is pretty lively, but there's no wind in the next couple of days and we like to sail. We have about 10 knots, maximum 15 today, which is quite enough to have a decent speed.
We sailed along the Australian coast to the north. When we have to sail that downwind, it is nice when you have at least 15 knots of wind. The problem with going that downwind when there's not a lot of wind is because of your speed. There's no apparent wind anymore.
I haven't touched the engines yet this morning. In the morning it's fine, the wind comes from the left. Same rhythm every day, the wind that is.
We took the opportunity to do some beautiful hikes on the islands. We saw koalas, we did some nice snorkeling. It was a nice and relaxed time. Visiting the waterfall in Zoe Bay was one of the highlights again. Langzamer dan mij?
Ja.
Joost came on board in Cairns and we sailed north via Port Douglas and we visited several reefs.
Heb je dat diep genoeg?
Ja, dat is goed.
This is the boat where Joost is going on tomorrow for diving. That's a nice one. So our first stop is the low isles. Absolutely no wind. Well, 3-4 knots.
When you forget to put the plug in and the boat is half full of water, it's very difficult to hoist it. Ja. Verzil het niet te ver. Oh, niet te ver.
En zo houden.
one of the locals gave us an advice to take the mooring at Undine Reef. There was only one mooring. It was in the middle of the ocean, it felt. And luckily there was no wind, but during the night the wind started a little bit and then it was already very uncomfortable. So we were happy to leave this place the next morning. We had an encounter in one of the evenings just before dark with, I think, between 10 and 20 beautiful small whales.
Mackay Reef is only 4 miles north.
We're on our way to Hope Island now, and we're passing Endeavour Reef there on the right hand side.
On Lizard Island there's a track that you can walk, and that's actually where Cook went up to find a route out of the reef. For us it's incredible how he sailed these waters. There are so many reefs, and for us it's so easy with the current BNG cards and avionics. But for him it must have been hell. The snorkeling in this bay was also very beautiful. The most northerly part of Australia is very isolated or deserted, so we decided to do the last part of the trip north in one big stretch.
Cargo ship going to Horn Island, same destinations as we are. It's going 9.5 knots, so we should be able to pass him as well. That'll be interesting.
So I tried to explain to the captain of the container ship, don't worry. It was a sort of a stupid move. But later on you found a very good solution for the constant jibing. And
we did earlier, but it's not safe.
So now you can control it with the winch.
Really close to Thursday Island already. I think most boats are already going to Horn Island today.
in Horn Island, Thomas arrives, and the three of them, Mark, Thomas and Joost, are going to sail the boat to Indonesia. And I'm flying home because I'm going to get a granddaughter.
On the other side.
Ik heb dat daar geen stress van. Ja, I know.
Goeie terugreis, Marijke.
Laat iets weten als ik er lang ben.
Doei. There they go.
Oh, we zijn weg.
Ja.